Right, this is my team to play Brighton tomorrow evening. By the time that this is out, it will be tonight. So we will know very, very shortly who will play against Brighton at the MX Stadium. There is one big surprise in here that a lot of you will not like in terms of who I would like to play. And there are, of course, some fantastic returns to the side that are going to mean the massive bit of difference in these coming 3 games. So let's get into things. LUKASZ FABIANSKI in goal for West Ham. No surprises there. He's been outstanding this season. You look at Brighton and possibly what they'll do in terms of aerial threats, the likes of Dan Burn, the likes of someone like an Adam Webster. They're generally decent and quite offensive from those set pieces. So it will be a test for him. And we've seen since Newcastle how sides have put pressure on him from those corners and free kicks. And again, expect someone like Danny Welbeck to play on the shoulder a little bit. So LUKASZ FABIANSKI will be tested at times in this game. And equally, he'll have to be concentrate for the full 90 because you know that Brighton can create. They struggle to finish, but they will create against this West Ham side. VLADMIR COUFAL at right back. The test will, of course, be naturally in that wing-back system. Who will play? I imagine it will be Dan Burn getting forward and Trossard trying to overload on that side. West Ham will need protection in this game from the 2 defensive midfielders, one of them who will be a huge difference in this type of game. And I expect them to protect COUFAL, who has been really good. I've enjoyed watching him in the past few games, getting forward and putting deliveries into the box. I'm not convinced he is going to be at license to get as far forward in this game. But I expect him, if he's in those wide positions and we are pressing against Brighton, that he can put decent deliveries into the box. The problem is with Brighton, how they revert very, very quickly to that back 5, how they tuck in as well. These crosses from someone like a COUFAL, I can't imagine being too effective, but we know he's got it in his locker. That's the most important thing. And we are going to need those defensive midfielders to help him out when Brighton have got the ball. The 2 centre-back pairings, I know there's been a lot of talk this week regarding who will start, whether Issa Diop or Craig Dawson could drop out to partner Angelo Ogbonna. I have gone with Craig Dawson as the man to stay in the side, with Big Angelo returning to the left-hand side. And it may seem slightly harsh on Diop. Having watched the games back, I know I'm a little bit critical of him. I think there are elements of his game where he is a little bit wary in terms of decision making. He was decent against Everton. And the reason why Angelo and Craig come back into this team for me is because of their partnership, their communication, the experience that a player like Angelo Ogbonna has, not only in terms of marshalling that back 4, but in terms of reading the runs from Brighton. And we know Brighton are going to use the likes of Trossard, the additional runs of someone like a Pascal Gross. And Craig Dawson, I feel, is going to need a partner alongside him that's reading the danger, that's communicating well. And we also look at set pieces for Brighton in terms of a Dan Burn, a Webster, maybe even a Ben White, players like that you're going to need big aerial presences in the box. And Craig Dawson and Angelo Ogbonna, for me, are imperious when they play together. So I feel that they have to play in this game. Aaron Cresswell at left back. I've gone for him because I believe it was just a dead leg last time out. So therefore, he will retain his place. The same concerns for him in terms of what we see for COUFAL in that right wing back system, how possibly Veltman will push, or maybe Ben White may play there. There are rumours that may happen, and overloading those type of areas. So there could be a lot of pressure on him. I expect him to be conservative in this game. In the past couple of games, we've seen our fullbacks get high. I don't believe we're going to see it in this game. I think David Moyes is going to rely heavily on the attacking midfield players to transition from deep, pick up the space, and use the decent progressive runners that we've got in this side. So Cresswell, for me, sits a little bit deeper in this game, but we'll also need a little bit of protection from in front of him. Now, the bit that I'm most excited to announce, and I believe this will happen, is Declan Rice will return to this side alongside Thomas Souček. And this is a big bonus for Thomas Souček in terms of what we're getting out of him in an offensive output. But we'll talk about Declan Rice before. Defensively, absolutely superb, provides the shield, will drop at times into that back 4 if he needs to, and that will give us an avenue to push on fullbacks if we want to do that. But it also gives protection to someone like Souček to get further forward, cause Brighton havoc. In this game, West Ham will need to break the defensive lines of Brighton very quickly. They're very astute, they're intelligent in getting back of positions. Players that move out of position, other players will fill in for them. So West Ham need to exploit the space, and you want Thomas Souček operating in a much higher area than he has done recently, and he has had to drop, whether he's been partnered with Manu Lanzini or whether he's been in the midfield 3 with Mark Noble. So Declan Rice offers that. And we know that Declan can drive from midfield as well and create those runs. So for me, that's important. Defensively, we know how Brighton will put pressure on us, overload us in the wide areas. And at times, Declan Rice and Souček will either have to sit deeper or go cover the wide areas to protect them. If West Ham can be conservative in this game, for me, and use the defensive attributes of both of these whilst allowing someone like a Souček to get forward, we will transition into space effectively. And that's when we'll be able to overload their midfield a little bit, put pressure on someone like an Yves Bissouma and a Pascal Gross. And you think that West Ham, with the personnel that we've got, can overload them and hurt them. Now the attacking midfield players. I'm going to get so much stick for this, so I might as well just get on with it. Saïd Benrahma this won't happen. This won't happen. This is just what I would like to happen. These are the players that I've put as the attacking midfielders. Said Benrahma on the left-hand side, Jesse Lingard at number 10, and Jarrod Bowen on the right-hand side. So the obviously notable exception to this is Pablo Fornals drops out. It's incredibly harsh. It won't happen because he has been so fantastic over the 2 to 3 weeks. But like I've touched on, Brighton, they seem to get exposed when they come up against players that are going to navigate into certain spaces, that are going to drag the ball, that are going to progress from deep. And I know Benrahma has been hit and miss. I know he's been inconsistent. But in terms of his actual ball playing ability, his ability to run with the ball, take on men, beat players, that's what West Ham are going to need against Brighton. That's whether we play and we sit deep in the low block and we try and transition, or if West Ham want to play a higher line and he can get into their final third, that he can drag that Brighton back five out of position. He can do that. Now, it is a risk. Naturally, I think obviously defensively he doesn't offer what Pablo Fornals offers, and that's been my key reason for keeping Pablo Fornals in over recent weeks. But you look at the type of game that it is, the magnitude of the game, the fact that West Ham really have to go for the 3 points. We have to take the risk. And you feel that with Declan Rice back in the side, Thomas Souček as well in that double pivot position, we are going to get protection on the wide areas. We're not going to be cut open too easily. And I can't imagine our fullbacks playing too high. So I think we can afford the risk of playing Said Benrahma. I know loads of you won't agree with me, but that's personally just what I would like to see in terms of a general game plan from West Ham. Lingard picks himself for me. I know he's had a slight dip in form and he's set incredibly high standards in recent weeks in terms of goals and assists. And it's for exactly the same reason. Being able to transition from deep, picking up the ball, keeping the ball. I would like to see him, particularly with Declan Rice now behind him, trying to get him beyond Mikel Antonio, changing the variability of West Ham's play. Yes, of course, he can carry it from deep, but just in terms of that final third, making that additional run. We don't want to make it too easy for Brighton in terms of setting up very quickly and West Ham having to play in front of them because it will open us up for the counter. So I would like Lingard to play in a much more advanced position, try and get alongside Mikel Antonio, and particularly if Mickey draws to that left-hand side, some of these attacking players are willing to take the mantle, get further forward and try and draw that Brighton defence out of shape. And Jarrod Bowen on the right-hand side, I thought he was unlucky to not play the last game, and I could see why he didn't because of the performance against Burnley. Exactly the same reason. Directness, ball carrying ability, the fact that he will get close to Mikel Antonio at times, overload that Brighton box, hit him in transitions. Those are the reasons why you want Jarrod. And naturally what Jarrod offers that Said Benrahma doesn't is not only consistent output, but equally defensive work rate. And you feel that Brighton, if they try and overload on that left-hand side, which I imagine that they will do at times, and when you've got someone like a Danny Welbeck setting up slightly to the left-hand side and trying to draw West Ham centre-backs out of position, you just want to rely on that option slightly, and he will offer that in terms of defensive work rate. And then, of course, your striker, needless to say, is Mikel Antonio. Listen, I thought against Everton, it was very difficult for him. It was very difficult for us to operate, if I'm perfectly honest. They pushed us and pressed us into positions that we weren't comfortable in. For me, you want Mikel Antonio on the shoulder when you can get him on the shoulder. And you look at someone like a Dan Burn, and it was interesting for me to watch the Leeds game against Brighton previously, how they were targeting Dan Burn, how sometimes those wing-backs for Brighton will step up and they'll vacate space in behind. And you've also got to look at Brighton's high line. They'll play as high as they can. They'll spread the centre-backs wide. Mikel Antonio has the ability to not only drive from deep, play on the shoulder, and we know that the pace and the power and the directness that he has got will try and exploit that space in behind. Now, I know he's a no-brainer because there are no other striking options. But for me, that's the key attribute in this game. And even if we did have other options, he would have to start. And I like how he's peeling off to the left at times. It does make it difficult for teams to pick him up. But he will need to hold the ball up as well. You know, Brighton will try and win back possession as quickly as they can. And if he can hold the ball up and allow us to introduce our attacking midfielders at times, it will hurt Brighton. It will mean Brighton will struggle to get that discipline and back into shape. So for me, again, that's what he's going to offer. And I expect him to really cause them a nuisance and try and get in between the centre-backs, particularly from set pieces and particularly from open play. That is my team to play Brighton. I'm all up for stick. Listen, put it in the comment section. Who would you have playing Brighton? I know some of you won't agree with it. It's a huge game for us. We need to get the 3 points and we need to be optimistic and we need to be brave. I know we've struggled against them prior, but I just feel that this game, the magnitude of it, the players that we've got back, we can beat Brighton, definitely on paper. But for me, it's a mentality thing. And I think if we start the game incredibly sharp, get an early goal, we can go on to win it and nick it, even if it was a 1-0. So fingers crossed. You can join me and the lads for the watch long tomorrow. It'll be 7:45. So join us then. Set your reminders. Like this video if you did enjoy it. Subscribe to the West Ham Way if you're new. Not long to go now, people. Take care. And I'll